sec. And hey, sorry everybody about the technical issues. Yeah, shit happens. Sorry about that. Zero, you were on a roll there before we went off air. So go ahead and sum up your points, sir.
So basically what I was saying is when people think that men are being vulgar to each other, when I would say somebody like, like Sylvester Stallone said to the other character, well, shit, you're a damn good pilot. And then Sandra Bullock's character basically said, had you read my study, you will realize that this is how insecure men talk to each other. Well, we talk to each other like that because that's how guys are. And we will compliment each other using swear words because we know that shows on a certain level great admiration. But when women try to do that and they try to be funny in that matter, they are actually being bitches. They're being very bitchy because they're acting like vipers and they're being very venomous and they have no intention of being funny. Women, when they're being funny for the most part and actually genuinely trying to be funny, they're storytellers. They are really good at the setup and the payoff with whatever it may be, and they are able to basically say, this situation, this situation, this situation, my personal viewpoint of the situation sprinkled in, and then boom, the payoff, and it's great and it's funny. Or they can be one-liner zingers. They do not have the capability, for the most part, to be foul-mouthed, compliments like guys do. I've seen a lot of women try this, and I said, you come across as bitchy doing that. And they go, oh, and I say, I'm not trying to shame you. It's just the fact that you do. And but if it's really between two women, especially sisters, they have that specific capability of interacting with each other, and that's because that's a sibling dynamic or a best friend dynamic. So that's what it is. I guess it's all your own viewpoint in regards of how comedy works.
Yeah. Hello, everybody.
Hey, how's it going, Cass? But no, and there's also the idea where men are more upfront with each other than women are. Women are kind of backstabby.
I think the word you're looking for is passive aggressive, but yeah, that's the same result of passive aggressiveness. Either or.
Well, when a woman actually compliments another woman, and I've actually seen this at the gym, they'll actually say, hey, I like your shoes, and the other woman will say thanks, and they will go into a little diatribe about the make, the model, how they fit, relative to my feet are this size, my feet are this size, I like the color because reasons, and it matches your outfit. They get very specific in their compliments and generosity towards the other person. Men really, like if I said the cast is, hey man, I like your logo, it's very nicely animated. That's it. It doesn't need subtext.
It doesn't need, oh my god, I just love it. I could die right now. Oh my god.
And my daughter has gay male friends, and they do the same thing. They would say, hey, I like your logo for your avatar, and it's very brightly colored and it's well printed, and that's it. That's a little more extensive because they are gay, but it's not it doesn't go into the in-depth details and the reasons why a woman would like it. Because men and women compliment in different manners, and they have comedic styles in very different manners. This is why Gilda Radner was good at stuff, and Amy Schumer sucks at it.
Well, no, and there's the thing, like, I can't remember her fucking name, but her comedy bits were always about liking fucking black dick, pretty much, like all about her black boyfriends or whatever. I can't remember her fucking name, but she was pretty funny, whatever. But Amy Schumer tries to do the same type of jokes, and it just falls flat. So it's their own individual personalities as well. You know what I mean?
I've met Gabriel Iglesias when he came to Davenport, and this was before he did Magic Mike, and he did the whole Matthew McConaughey routine, because he actually tried it out on that night, and then we went to the classic stuff. But he always refers to, he's lost a lot of weight, thankfully, but he referred to a lot of self-depreciative humor about his nationality, his Mexican background, and his being overweight. People these days don't know how to fucking handle that.
Yeah.
And that was the great thing about Gabriel, which is why he started making new content and has hopefully evolved. I haven't heard from him in a short while, but that was one of the things. That was one of the things about Gabriel Iglesias. You knew where he was coming from because on a certain level you get it, because he was the everyman who loves what he does and is very happy to share it with people.
Isn't that kind of like Patton Oswalt? He was kind of into the self-deprecating humor as well. But
Patton Oswalt was, but he's an asshole. He became overly egotistical. Gabriel Iglesias has not, or had not at the time. But the point is, neither one of those two are talking about their vaginas or their dick.
My pussy smells like boneyard animals.
Yeah, exactly. They don't talk about that kind of stuff. That's not because that's not their style. And I have seen Patton Oswalt do some of that kind of stuff, but he's like, you know, he knows that's not his thing. You know, he tries to be him, and he doesn't try to be Don Rickles. He doesn't try to be George Carlin. And Amy Schumer does. She tries to be on the Don Rickles level, and it's not funny because she cannot do it. She does not have that comedic talent. Yeah. And whether you think she has any kind of talent is irrelevant, but it's the fact that she does not have that specific type of talent.
Well, yeah, no, and like I had brought up Chris Rock before the technical issues took me out of here, but you know, the bit I'm talking about when I talk about Chris Rock, and once again, the views expressed by the panel of I Drink and I Know Things, also known as the Red Eye Stream, do not necessarily reflect any of the real views of anybody present. But no, he goes on the bit about, you know, there's niggas and there's black people. And you know what? The niggas gotta go. Could he do that fucking bit circa 2019?
Yeah, he could, and he'd get chastised for it, and I think he'd give him the middle finger and walk off. But I think it'd also be fair to say he knows his audience because he's been around.
Yeah. Fair enough, but it's just like it seems like some of the good classic bits, even by Robin Williams, wouldn't be acceptable anymore.
No, because it's a different generation, and they're a generation of people who don't know what it means not to have things. They don't know what it means to, as a whole, as a broad stroke comparison between the World War II era and early baby boomers and millennials, a very broad stroke comparison. They don't know what it means to go without on certain things on certain levels.
What I was going to get at was the guy with the top hat. Mad was saying about Chris Rock, and the niggas got to go. People like Chris Rock, I've heard saying, you don't have to be black to be a nigger.
Well, yeah, around here we call them tweakers, and they are very prevalent.
We call them
Chris Rock is actually, Chris Rock is also a very intelligent individual, and he knows exactly what the terminology of that word originates from and means. Most people don't. They don't realize that it means somebody who is uneducated, stupid, makes bad decisions regardless of your skin tone. They don't care. They choose to be ignorant and unintentional.
Here's another
unintentionally
misinformed. Batman, real quick. Zero. Here's another thing. What about the Boondocks? Could that cartoon be made nowadays? Like the nigga moment episode.
No. Aaron McGruder would not do it because he would get chastised by whatever network it was on.
That's another thing, mind. In modern society, the stupid, the uneducated, and the willfully ignorant are celebrated. Whereas anybody with any degree of intelligence, common sense, or education is derogatized.
Well, I think I like to use this argument of we live in a time where everyone's like, well, thanks to postmodernism, I can accept this perspective of reality regardless of evidence. And I'm not ignorant. You're ignorant for not accepting that type of mentality.
Well, they can have their postmodernism all they want. The laws of physics dictate otherwise.
Yeah, well, see, that's the problem. To them, it doesn't matter. Everyone's taught to basically just accept their own brand of reality regardless of facts. And no matter how many times you get to them, it's like talking to a brick wall. That's why comedy is to them they're so scared of comedy is because it's like the great Trojan horse of argumentation. When you make jokes, it eases people into larger conversations they wouldn't accept in a serious conversation. That's why everyone used to make jokes about a certain thing. Then years later, while that joke is accepted, everyone starts talking about the serious implications of those problems.
Yeah.
Going
back to roasting presidents, there was a time that when you had, especially Bush Sr., when he was in office, Democrats and Republicans could watch him do stupid things, and we both get a chuckle out of it. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe we actually voted this idiot in. But we also realize it's not just him; it's his administration, whether they're doing a good job or doing a bad job. And now everybody is, pointing fingers, and they don't know how to do that. Anybody who ever made fun of Obama, oh, you're chastised. Anybody who makes fun of Trump, for the most part, you're also being chastised. And I'm a guy that was making fun of Obama and Trump.
Hold on.
And whether or not I voted for him, no, let me finish. And whether or not I, voted for him or not, I still made fun of him because they are open targets, just like everybody else on the planet.
I disagree with the point that you raised there. No, you said you're a guy.
I'm not posh enough for you. Is that what you're telling me now?
No, I'm just taking the mickey out of you.
Okay.
Did you just say
I was going to say, sorry, go ahead, Nationalist Yorkshireman.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, did he really just call a Geordie a posh?
Yeah, he did. It's because we're English, you see, and to Americans, anybody who's English is posh.
Well, the first time I ever spoke to American,
No. I'm going to clear this up right now for you limeys. We only know posh because of Spice, and that's it. And
yeah,
maybe
but
Ginger
she
and
wasn't
Baby.
human. Posh Spice is not. Right, hold on. Posh Spice is human. It's Jerry Halliwell. I have disagreements with. I think she looks like a fox, a literal fox. Like Cat's War Fox.
That's the only posh we know.
Gotta admit, back in the day, Victoria Beckham was a bit of all right.
I always had a thing for Jerry myself, but my point is, I didn't say I didn't need help. Between an American and a Brit, we actually just zinged on each other. It was actual comedy, and it went from lowbrow to highbrow and everything in between, and nobody's feelings were hurt. That's what comedy does. That's what good comedy is, and people just don't know it these days.
Well, comedy is just truth equals exaggeration. So when I go up to a feminist and make jokes about their ideology, and the first moment they laugh, that's them subconsciously agreeing that their ideas are kind of ridiculous. And that's why people are so extreme about not taking jokes anymore, is because it's a slight admission that they know they're wrong. that they're taking things too seriously, and they need to realize that not everything needs to be dogmatically enforced.
You know what?
Another thing, comedy.
Speaking of jokes, you guys. So our broom got broke, and I'm like, so how'd the broom get broke? And my wife's like, I broke it. I'm like, oh, well, I told you not to ride your broom drunk. She doesn't seem to think that's funny. I think it's hilarious.
I don't either. She could have been killed.
I wouldn't necessarily say either one of that. I mean, if she really wants a bit of comedy, she has to wake up to you every morning.
You actually got her to laugh too.
Hold on. Zero Cool does have a point, because there's a thin line between comedy and tragedy.
It's a complete tragedy that I just burned his ass on live stream about his wife.
Hey, at least she didn't break the broom over my head. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be worse.
But in regards to people being too easily butthurt about stuff, to break it down to layman's terms, my daughter watched Community when it was on, and she always got a big chuckle out of Pierce Hawthorne having his problems with people being homosexual or gay, and she always thought that was the funniest bit. And the episode Advanced Gay was probably her favorite, because the character's growth of Pierce Hawthorne, and then the episode that followed one or two down the road where his dad dies and Professor Chang ends up going home, tells Jeffrey Winger, "What, Jeff, no date? Gay!" And he walks out with a tranny. My daughter said, "This is so brilliantly written. I don't understand why my friends can't get into it. And I said,
It
because they
happens in
don't
real
have a
life.
sense of humor.
The best comedy can happen in real life. I mean, what you described there. One of my cousins, he was out. When I was about 20, he was about 18. So in the pub talking to this blonde chick up by the bar, white dress, nice figure. And I didn't have the heart to tell him because he was getting on so well with it. I didn't have the heart to tell him that girl used to be the captain of our school rugby team. And it wasn't a girl rugby team.
He's pulling a Senior Chang there. Gay!
You didn't tell him? No, that's fun. That's not comedy. That's fun.
Well,
the thing about life is you've got to learn by experience.
And you would be surprised that when people, and I normally would just put my head down and say, Batman, what the fuck is your problem? And walk off. But the thing is, people meet people through the strangest of circumstances, and they always don't always becoming enemies or have animus towards each other.
Yeah.
And sometimes, regardless of if we do interfere or don't interfere, life has a sense of irony and comedic element to its own, which makes it special.
Put my posh hat on here, Zero.
They'll put your posh hat.
Animus is actually a form of animal magic. I think you mean animosity.
No, I'm pretty sure I do mean animus.
Well, real quick, Aunt Jack in the chat says, I had a shipmate making out with a tranny in Sapan, and we got photos as well. Well, you have said that you were in the Navy, so that makes a lot of sense. Just saying, you know what they say about the guys that go down in the submarines, right?
Yeah.
500 go down.
Animus as the noun, meaning hostility or ill-feeling. The author's animus towards her being the example. So my usage of the word was correct.
Fair enough.
All right.
Don't do that again, otherwise I'll have you shot by Dawn.
Well, tell Dawn to pack a lunch because it's going to take a while to take me down.
She's
got an orbital mass driver.
Batman. It's you pronounce it aluminum, not however the fuck you people say.
Aluminium.
No, it's
what
aluminum.
the hell's an aluminum falcon? Never mind. Robot chicken joke.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Okay.
But in regards to comedy, we get the point of how, regardless of how we interact, life itself seems to play cosmic jokes upon us, and things happen for a reason. Yeah. And you can either roll with it or you don't roll with it. And I think if it's funny, and even if you're on whatever end of it, you're, the giving and receiving end of it, if you can't learn to take a joke, you really need to check out, because you waste way too much time not letting shit be funny.
Well, see, that's the problem, because if you're incapable of taking a joke, you must live a miserable fucking life, quite frankly.
Well, no, and
that's a lot of people.
Do you remember high school? All you did was make fun of your best friends. That's all you fucking did.
I beat the shit out of people in high school because I was not a nice person.
What do you mean?
What I always found funny was the fact that the thing that I found the most funny is because I'm considered always been considered outside the box. That's my personality. I've always found it funny when the alpha male, this is the biggest joke about high school, the alpha male is always trying to get with the girls and being shot down, regardless of who the girls were, because the girls were smarter than the guys and knew how to play the games, and the alphas were especially stupid and not figuring out the rules.
Then they're not.
Well, the rest of us got laid.
Then they're not alphas. Alphas. One of the prime traits of an alpha is not just being big, tough, and good in a fight. They've got to be intelligent as well.
Yeah.
And let's wrap.
I agree with.
Wasn't it always the funny guy who got? Well, no, wasn't it always the funny guy that got more girls than necessarily the quarterback of the football team? I mean,
yeah, because the funny guy or the funny girl was able to interact with the same or opposite sex, and basically, was it you, Cass, that mentioned the Trojan horse theology of the whole thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
and that's
Trojan
why.
horse's argumentation. That's what I'm
Right.
going with.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what happened. You were able to basically lower the defenses and make more headway with the opposite or the same sex, depending on whatever the whoever you are, whoever the person is that you had an interest in. Because it wasn't always about sex. It was always about, getting to know the unknown and finding a way to cope with another person and do that together. And comedy has always been able to do that if you let it.
Yeah, it lowers your defenses, it lowers your guard. Because if you're able to laugh with somebody, then you're already halfway to an actual connection.
Laugh and the world laughs with you. Cry and the world laughs at you.
Yeah.
Well,
And
you
that's,
cry alone, but regardless.
No, I think mine's more accurate, actually. I wasn't trying to make a funny comment. I was actually just changing because I think that's more accurate. Somebody who's crying, especially if it's a guy, they get laughed at.
Well, it's just a certain saying about how life is. You take things too seriously, you always lose. You're not winning.
Unless you're Charlie Sheen.
Uzi in the chat says all the alphas from high school are now beta males. She probably has a point, right?
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't get the whole what most people think of alpha males anymore. Do people think it's just about strength or intelligence?
It's got to be both. It's
I don't know.
got to be a combination of the two.
Back where I'm from in school, everyone would beat the shit at each other, but everyone was kind of most people were kind of sportsmen about it. That regardless if you want to lose, at least there's a bit of self-respect for the fact that you did it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I mean, when I was at school, if you're in a fight and you knock somebody down, you step back and you let them get up, because if you didn't, your mates.
No, you're
will kick your head in.
So as soon as you start running around and actually beat the shit out of them while they're on the ground, that's just you're not getting.
Yeah, like I said, your own mates would pull you back and beat you up. But that's the thing about when you're kids. Kids have a very exaggerated sense of honor, for one thing.
Yeah.
Something I remember from being a kid. I mean, you didn't pick on. Yeah, the kid with like an obvious disability, or the kid whose dad had died when he was young, or something daft like that. But everyone
I remember one thing in high school, Batman. I remember freshman year, this kid was getting picked on, right? And I went up to the bully and I made him fucking bugger off. And I go to help the kid up, and he fucking socks me in the jaw. And so I just laid him out and walked away. I'm like, "Fuck you, dude!" Like I just helped you out.
Now, see, that's a bit of dramatic. That's a bit of comedic irony right there.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I was just like, "Fuck you!" I just nailed him, and he laid out, and I'm like, "Fuck off."
Yeah,
no, I stopped helping kids out at that point. I'm like, fuck all y'all.
Yeah, I've noticed something about all the high school bullies, so at least the ones I had to deal with. Looking at them now, they're about, because I used to be quite small and skinny, but now I'm like nearly twice as wide as them.
how's
all those small pies in it.
How else you think I got my?
Are you talking physical mass or just your IQ and ego? Because that intimidates people even more.
Physical mass.
Okay.
Oh yeah, physical mass.
What I noticed about the kids who used to be bullies at school is it's why quick. I caught on to this pretty quickly. They're not the same. Yeah, they're not the same people they were at school. They've grown into different people.
That's very true, Batman. Most people do grow up.
Yeah, and most of them quite rightly regret what they did at school.
And the ones that don't are pretty much sociopathic.
Or at least they never grew up.
Or they're denying it because their fragile ego can't handle the fact that they might be wrong.
Bit of justice I got once a few years ago. I met one of the kids blokes who used to be one of the bullies at school. Yeah, he had a kid whose body develops 4 times faster than his brain.
Yep.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah, he was one of them. He's about 6, nearly 7 foot tall. Built like built like a brick shit house. And I met him a couple of years ago when I was doing shopping with his wife, and he's trying to make fun of us. I mean, he's not too good at it because he's got a very small brain. Oof. And this tight, literally 4 foot something woman, built like a stick, turns around to him and put him in his place. He was literally cringing from her. And I couldn't help but laugh.
Nah, like
it was pure justice.
Like everyone goes on about bullying, like, yeah, really now? Because I remember when I was a kid, most of the bullies I had couldn't handle a joke, and that's why I'm so effective at snarkiness. Is you realize how much you kind of just beat them at their own game just by laughing at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're fucking pussies in their own way.
Well, no, the other side of the coin, though, some of my best friends I still have. I've known since middle school. So, like, since, like, the 5th grade. Any of you guys still have old buddies from, you know, like, middle school or high school?
No.
Yeah, I got, like, a few still.
No.
That's mostly
and the thing about that is it's not because I'm superior or inferior to them. It's, as I said earlier, life has a way of playing jokes on us, and the joke of the whole situation about why I'm not friends with the people I were in high school is because they didn't evolve. I had run across somebody who I hadn't seen in about 5 or 6 years who was a childhood friend, and every time he comes up to me, he says, knocks on my door, says, "Hey, Dave, can you help me move stuff?" And I go, "How old are you?" 37. Fucking hire a mover. Slam the door.
I'm sorry, you saying that, and now I've got this image of the African plane, this big black monolith, and there's these ape men throwing rocks at you going, "Hey, anyone you guys see Dave these days?"
Yeah, but you get the general idea that life has comedic aspects to it, and it's not always the funny type of comedy. There's a such thing as sad comedy, and you do come across that.
Well, no, and actually, that's funny because I was just thinking about a documentary I was watching last night. It was about the Little Rascals, right? And how there was kind of this fucking curse upon all of them. Like, even the dude that was Alfalfa fucking died at like 37 or whatever. The fucking little black kid got hooked on fucking heroin. I mean, all sorts of bad shit.
I hear the dog became a crack whore as well.
No, the dog got poisoned, dude. No, that's funny you brought up the dog. The dog straight got poisoned. Like, somebody murdered the dog.
Oh, man, poor dog.
I always felt sorry for Alfalfa because even as a kid, I was looking when they were showing them on, like Saturday morning TV. I was looking at Alfalfa and thinking, he's never going to get laid.
Oof.
Well, no, but what was interesting though, and what got me thinking is, it seems like all child actors have this fucking issue, right? Should you not shove these children into the spotlight so young?
It's because of how they're shoved into the spotlight. You get some that are shoved put in the spotlight, and they have responsible parents who protect them. Look at Fred Savage. You remember the Wonder Years?
I would say look at the kid. Look at Ostrander, the guy that played Charlie and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or Willy Wonka. He played Charlie in Willy Wonka.
Nope.
The kid that played Charlie in Willy Wonka from the 70s with Gene Wilder. Robert Ostrander is his name.
Never heard of him.
Okay, anyway, he's
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
He was a child actor. But he was in 2 movies basically. He basically said, "I don't want to do this anymore," and his parents were like, "Fine." He ends up growing up relatively normal and owning his own dairy farm. And then on the flip side of that is you have parents who are complete jackasses, basically being Macaulay Culkin's parents, and look how long it took for him to straighten out. And Macaulay Culkin is the kind of guy
straightened out now.
Yes. Let me finish. Yes, Macaulay Culkin is considered very straightened out. He actually holds down. He works. He does film appearances, TV appearances, independent film. He actually makes music, writes and performs stuff, and he does it all by himself. And he's in a healthy relationship. He's soon to get married, and he's a very nice guy.
He's living
But
Well,
that was
he-
the exact opposite a while back because his parents were jackasses.
Right?
So
did you ever
there's
see him
the two-
interviewed when he was the height of his career?
Yeah,
He was a very nice and very intelligent kid. He was old beyond
it
his
was
years.
his parents that ruined everything.
Yeah.
That's my point.
But the wonder is, I mean, there was that Fred Savage. I think he's
Fred
out in the
Savage
director.
kind of turned into a dick.
No, he didn't. That's the thing. He went behind the camera, and the girl who played who was in that.
Yeah, she's actually a math. She actually has a PhD in
Yeah.
advanced.
She's actually got a mathematical
Danica
law.
McKellar. She's actually
She's
if
got
it
a
wasn't for
mathematical-
Danica McKellar, I would have never passed algebra in college and got
Yeah.
my degree.
Yeah,
because
she
she
was processed named after her.
What's the name of the kid from Boy Meets World? His little brother, Fred's little brother.
Ben Savage.
Yeah, Ben.
Yeah.
Ben turned out pretty normal too.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's because the parents sheltered them from the excesses of Hollywood, I suppose you could call it. Which, I mean, let's face it, what goes
So
on in
Danny
Hollywood.
Bonaducci would have been the opposite of that because he wasn't sheltered from it.
Can I finish?
Sorry.
I mean, fucking hell.
Fucking hell.
The excesses of Hollywood is damaging to adults. Adults can handle a hell of a lot more than kids. So
well, yeah,
that most child stars go off the rails. I mean, Drew Barrymore. I mean, her teenage years were apparently a nightmare.
holy shit, Batman! Like, do great minds think alike or what? I was gonna bring up Drew Barrymore. Like, seriously, that's what I was gonna bring up. So go
I
ahead.
think- Yeah, I mean, but thankfully she's straightened herself out now.
Okay,
I mean,
Dodge,
I
did
like
you see what I just posted in your Discord? It's about the Second Amendment. And I thought that it might be something that you might want to bring up on one of your shows.
Ooh.
Hmm.
Yes, I think you'll want to.
I think
Yeah,
another-
no, I saw that. Sorry, my daughter's
Can
yelling.
you post it in the side here, Sharadi? I want to read it.
Sharadi, put your hands all over my back.
Speaking of stuff, how's sucking its dick going? By the way, I heard
What?
you're both in a very complex relationship, Roddy.
Pardon?
I don't know.
I said, Sharadi, I said you and Tom Pinoy seem to have a very complex relationship. I've heard.
Oh, Tom Pinoy seems to have a fascination with me.
Nah, I just thought about making a joke, but all right.
Well, since guns were brought up, I remember seeing this article, and I'm sure everyone who hates High Point will have a good laugh at this.
And as far as linking the article,
But no, Sharadi, since you just jumped in, we were talking earlier about how crappy women comics are. Do you think women comedians are good, or do you think they're shit?
well, it depends on the comedian.
Also depends upon the style of comedy. Women can make extremely good comedy actors. On average, they don't seem to handle stand-up too well. On average.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Kathy Griffin, she's terrible, absolutely terrible.
Kathy Griffin's barely human, though. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And we just mentioned Goat Fanny, so yeah, you can't go there.
Let's see.
Yeah, there are none spring to mind at the moment, actually, but I mean, there are some quite successful
I
female
don't listen
stand-up
to
comedians.
female comedians, to be honest. I listen to male comedians.
Oh yeah, good luck with that. Sorry, I was reading I figured out what you were talking about. One of the people that's actually, and again, it has to do with style. I mentioned Gilda Radner from back in the day, Jane Curtin from back in the day. People who, a few females that and they're more actors more than they are actual comedians, but they have great comedic timing.
Lucille Ball.
Lucille Ball in the modern era, Kristen Wiig and Kate McKinnon are freaking hilarious, depending on what they do.
What about that?
And that's good comedic timing, and they can deliver comedy.
What about that blonde woman from Lisa Kudrow? She was fucking, she did it just right.
Which one's that again?
I think the answer is
Phoebe.
Ball, Betty White.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, she's got a good character.
So it's not always stand up. It's the fact that women are, again, as I've stated previously, better at emoting and storytelling, which is why they are really better as character actresses or comedic actresses than they are stand up.
Yeah.
Lisa Lampanelli is actually an example of a good crass stand up comedian. But she's not everybody's flavor neither.
No, I think that's
I hate to say this.
That's always making the jokes about fucking black dick or whatever. I think that was Lisa. Yeah, I think that's who I was referring to. But do you think women aren't good at stand up because they can't think on their feet like that as quickly?
It's not because of that. It's because a woman's mind works differently to a man's mind. What is important to a woman is not necessarily important to a man. That's why female comedians, on average, don't work as well. You'll find that a girl who's a tomboy and has got a good sense of humor will probably work well. Will probably be able to handle stand-up comedy to a degree, much more so than her more girly friends.
Yeah. Basically, they'll try to keep things relevant instead of just waffling on about all kinds of different bullshit at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, no, when you do a stand-up act, you don't necessarily script out every joke. You do have kind of an outline of what you wanted to go with, but you also ad-lib and think on your feet. And I'm thinking maybe that might be the difference. Yeah. Maybe women are just better scripted.
Well, maybe that, but I think it has a lot more to do with social ability. As I think women tend to be more obsessed about what is socially acceptable to say than men are.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, Sarah Silverman.
Who cares about what fucking is socially acceptable?
Sarah Silverman used to be a good comedian, and then she got social justice, and her face got thin, and she became ugly.
Yeah, feminists can't take jokes. Exactly. The thing is, I think it's a wider problem than slightly more. It's more or less just their example of people who are scared of taking jokes because it would be an admission that their ideology could be wrong.
And yes, she is Uzi. So feminists, it's not just feminists can't take jokes. They can't make jokes.
Yeah. Because jokes are like what goes around comes around type of shit. So of course they're going to be upset about that.
Well, no, and sometimes, like the whole premise of the very beginning of, I guess the last stream, since I had to restart it, but the fact that, the comedian, the jester, used to be the guy pointing out the inequalities in society and the issues, and he was able to tell the truth no matter what.
It was also a hugely dangerous job.
Exactly.
Actually, it was a hugely dangerous job because a lot of jesters did lose their heads.
Yeah. The jester's job was to bring levity to the situation and make the king and queen laugh. And you gotta and the beheadings were always done by the king because the queen actually had good taste and knew it was funny. It was the kings that had to stick up their ass that didn't know how to take a joke, especially about themselves.
I think it's a bit more than that, actually. I think it's because a comedian might a jester might struck a chord and cause more than enough of damage to make people question the power of the king. If the king really is that much of a fuck up. That's basically how it is.
The beheading of the court jester is happened far less frequently in English history than it did on the continent. Because I know it's getting degraded now, but freedom of speech is
and now I'm thinking about Danny Kaye
almost all the time. Yes, Danny Kaye was bloody hilarious.
Yes, he was.
I heard the feminists, and I wanted to come on.
Well,
Hi, well, no, actually, we're
More
doing kind of
feminist.
like what we were doing yesterday, kind of talking a little bit about philosophy and this idea of the court jester and how that is an important role in society
Yeah.
even nowadays, right?
Mad, you've got to remember the portion in the pestle has the pellet which is poison. The chalice from the palace has the brew that is true.
Oh, I love that.
It's fucking brilliant.
Is.
Man,
Jesus.
But no,
clue what I'm on about.
the idea though that you can't challenge authority and you can't point out the faults in somebody, that is not very Western, is it?
Well-
And by killing comedy, they're killing that ideal, aren't they?
Well,
Pretty much.
the question is then is why are authoritarian types so scared of jokes? And I think you already have your answer.
Yeah, it's because jokes expose what they really are.
I was going to say it's not real that they're scared of him. It's just more they can't take a fucking joke, so they get pissy.
Nah, if you know anything about authoritarians, you would know that to them, killing or subjecting people to torture or what have you is a sign of fear. They
Yeah,
can't
like I said-
respond to anything but fear.
Like I said before the stream went down the first time, look at Stalinist Russia. No comedy.
Yeah.
Mao Zedong's China.
Because they're afraid of jokes because jokes speak truth.
Yeah, like I said, they expose them for what they really are.
Truth equals exaggeration. That is comedy in a
Mhm.
nutshell. Especially very good comedy that gets to the heart of it.
It's
Well, yeah,
like
no,
it's like that joke song that I sent to Dodge before he started the stream about children being assholes. All kids are assholes. I don't
Yeah,
care
no, and-
whose kids you are.
No, and Shorty, I wasn't joking. My son Brad, he was like, "Kids are assholes." I'm like, "God damn it!" Like fucking 2-year-old.
Yep.
Fucking hell. But no. Here's the thing: like they even try and create comedy to push their own social agenda. Look at Archie Bunker. They were trying to make him the bad guy. Guess what? He's the only one you fucking remember from All in
Yeah.
the Family, is
Well, Archie Bunker was taken from a British thing, but it doesn't matter. It served the same purpose. It wasn't promoting racism; it was poking fun at racism.
Well, like what was that film? Blazing Saddles.
Or that British comedy, Love Thy Neighbour. Eddie Booth, white guy, black guy, and his wife moving next door. And you find out at the end of the first episode, he doesn't hate the black guy because he's black. He hates the black guy because he's a fucking Tory. But the thing is, the black guy who moved in next door.
Is that what they took fucking God damn it, what's the name of that? The Jeffersons from. Did
I
we
don't
steal
know.
that from you guys?
Probably. But yeah, it was a white guy and his wife, and this black guy and his wife moving next door. The black guy, yeah, he's younger, he's physically fit, he's got a beautiful wife, he's got a better job, he makes more money than Eddie. So that can't be promoting racism at all. And yeah, the main character, the white guy who's ostensibly the racist, is an idiot. And he's a tight little bastard as well.
Well, yeah, kind of like in All in the Family, they were trying to push the Polish guy's point of view, you know, the lefty. And no, everybody cared about Archie, and they were laughing with Archie. They like that's just the way it was.
Generally, in Sickness and Health, which I believe that's what Archie Bunker was taken from, Alf Garnett, we were laughing at Alf because he was 2 steps away from being an out-and-out Nazi. And the funny thing is, the guy who played him, Warren Mitchell, was Jewish.
But all right, here's a question for the panel here. All right, guys, if they actually get their way and they kill comedy, how long until the fall of Western civilization? Because I think that's going to follow.
I
up
think it's already
very
starting to
quickly.
fall.
I mean, regardless if comedy does die or not, the collapse is just as inevitable as it is. If there's one thing, if there is such an existence as causality. By the way, that conversation about determinism. Real quick aside of that, that's basically just causality with a different coat of paint.
It's still rubbish.
At the end of the day, civilization is going to fall, and
Yeah,
comedy,
you know,
the fall of
Well,
comedy is going to be basically just another nail in the coffin. as
do
far
you
as I'm
know the quickest way to kill a civilization? Fulfill all of its needs.
yeah, actually, I think you could argue
That
that.
does have a point, actually.
I mean, once all of the society's needs are met and they want for nothing, they get lazy.
Yeah, I'm
They
going to say,
stop
yeah,
maintaining
they
stuff.
stagnate.
Things fall apart. And that's civilization. It's a tipping point from where there is no return.
Well, if there is no need to survive anymore, there's no need to evolve.
Human beings are at their best when times are at their worst.
Yeah. Well, why else do you think in times of war technology advances tenfold?
Communities get stronger.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's the thing, Zero Cool. You said in the side chat, comedy will never die. So if comedy sticks around, then, and we're still allowed to point out the obvious and poke fun at what people might call our betters or the people in power, then Western civilization has a chance, does it not?
I would say it would probably still collapse, but the issue wouldn't be comedy. It would be the other factors that people ignore because
I agree
although
with
comedy does
I agree
exist,
Yeah.
people try to ignore the writing on the wall, what the problem is, and society will collapse that way anyway.
One surefire way to keep Western civilization alive is to keep it changing and growing. But unfortunately, our civilization is really under attack from an inflexible, unchanging enemy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Zero, I did ask you and I saw you on mute, so go ahead and answer.
It doesn't matter if society falls or not. There will always be a jester. There will always be somebody making somebody else laugh. And it has been shown historically time and again, the more you oppress people, the more they're going to act out in any manner that pisses off who's doing the oppression. And a lot of that times is comedy.
Yep.
It ain't going to die. It'll never die.
It's either comedy or dressing up like a bat and stalking the streets.
Or change and adapt to the times that it's in, but it will always be around.
Yeah. And if society does fall, that just means no one's going to really stop the jester from making the joke anymore.
Yeah.
The common sense guy in the chat, is right. He says, comedy will never die, same as in Commielands. It went underground or was hidden from plain sight.
Yeah.
Comedy was always find a way. You can't kill human nature yet.
Human nature is like life finds a way argument is you can't completely kill it. It will exist in some form.
Basically, yeah.
But the collapses happen because the people decide not to listen to the comedy for what it is and be like, oh, now you said through it. Oh, why is everything collapsing? Well, geez, it's not like everyone told you the joke that your stupid ideology is going to cause collapse. Well, geez, I wonder why.
Well,
or it might not work.
And fair enough. And speaking of comedy, we are getting towards the tail end of the show. What is going on with the tragedy, I would call it, instead of comedy, that is Brexit? Batman.
I heard a lot of shit about that. That's not a fun time for the British people, I'm going to say.
It isn't. Basically, it's like they've decided, you can have your democracy, but only when you vote the way we want.
It's more like a last-minute cuckery, isn't it?
It's because we have the weakest leader that we have ever had in power. And she's pathetic.
Well,
yeah, wouldn't Tony Blair be better right now than Theresa May?
Tony Blair wasn't weak. He was a criminal. There's a difference.
Yeah. Actually, I've got a joke for you, Batman. Theresa May, she's the type of negotiator that had come out of DFS with a fully priced sofa.
Yep.
That's just a little British joke. You won't get that, Americans.
Oh, come on. Theresa May is the kind of negotiator. She'd pay 50 quid for a freezer on Freegal.
Oof.
Oh, you know who she reminds me of? Did you ever see the episode of South Park when the guy's trying to negotiate with Cartman to get the cows back and ends up giving Cartman a fucking nuclear missile?
No. But you know who she reminds me of?
Oh,
Have you ever seen One Foot in the Grave?
I vaguely remember it.
Well, if you remember Victor's wife's friend, Mrs. Warboys, that's Theresa May.
Jack is correct. The West has actually became one hell of a joke in itself.
Yeah.
Well, no, and Common Sense Guy in the chat also says we need Guy Fawkes. That's all I'm going to say about it. I tip your hat.
Nowadays,
I agree.
Guy Fawkes was a fucking Catholic terrorist. You don't want
Hey.
Guy Fawkes.
Hey, leave the Catholics alone.
No, you don't want Guy
Catholics.
Fawkes. Jesus
Guy
Christ.
Fawkes was part of a plot to get the United Kingdom back under the control of the Vatican.
You want
Well, which is that great?
you want the dude in the Guy Fawkes mask, not Guy Fawkes.
We want V for Vendetta.
Because
Yeah,
apparently we want another organization known for killing
Jesus.
its comedians. Yeah, it's great. Because religion's
Well, no,
really fantastic at
thing,
humor.
Guy Fawkes can suck my nuts.
He can't. He's dead.
Well, he
I'm not
could.
going to
Yeah, they're bigger than yours.
Hey, you anti-Catholics can all go fuck off.
Oh, I'm
Anyway,
not
It's not anti-Catholic. It's not
I just think-
it's he's retarded.
I think
Yeah.
religion's another part of the problem with humor is that they're also uptight about humor for the same reason.
He was mad that England was Protestant. That's
Yep.
retarded.
Irish comedian called Dave Allen.
what's
I believe he
retarded
actually thought,
is
mad.
leaving and
Mad.
creating your own religion because you can't get a divorce. That's what's retarded.
Being,
Anyway,
being controlled by
Religion.
being controlled by the Pope. Hey, now that's a better idea.
He didn't.
Well, at least
create his own
Protestants
religion.
had
He adopted Protestantism, which was already a thing.
so how did this happen? How did I become the fucking guy defending Catholicism? Fuck you people.
Because you started
You
to
are
defend
kind of
Catholicism.
retarded.
Well, it's because you didn't listen to what Outlaw said. Is that Guy Fawkes was a poser, and he's been put way too high up upon a pedestal because of V for Vendetta and modern mythology and comic book storytelling.
But
He's
you
not
want
the hero people think he was.
V for Vendetta. You don't want Guy Fawkes.
Exactly.
The only people who think the way that Mad and a
Jesus.
few others think about Guy Fawkes are people who aren't from the United Kingdom. We get taught about Guy Fawkes at school. He wasn't a hero.
And
He
I'm
was a
not
bad
even
guy.
British. I'm not even British. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you're one of the intelligent exceptions. And
Remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot.
no, it's Guy Fawkes in the gunpowder plot.
He wanted England to be controlled by the Pope.
Yep.
Fuck that shit.
Queen Mary of Scots did
What's the
nothing
problem?
wrong. There, I said it.
What the fuck? Queen Elizabeth I was like the greatest queen ever.
She was a cunt. You fuck her.
She got shit done, didn't she? She had they had the golden age of peace for like 40 years.
Wait a minute.
Of
This
course, hold on,
Americans
man. Of
fighting
course
over British history. We should knock it off one side.
Of course, Queen Elizabeth I was a cunt. Look at the time she lived in.
She got
had
shit
to be
done
a
though,
cunt.
right?
Yeah, she had to be a cunt.
No
All
one
the
likes
other world
to know
leaders were. All the other world leaders were cunts. But she didn't kill people left, right, and centre because she didn't like what they said.
Yeah, and the one time that she was gonna fight Spain, she put on fucking armor and got her fat ass on a horse and rode out.
And nearly killed the horse.
Nearly killed the horse, but I
Look,
mean,
uh,
the fact that she was gonna fight for England
Part
herself.
of that is
Real
because she
quick.
didn't want to marry Philip of Spain.
Real quick, thank you, Zero Cool, because I wanted to bring up Winston Churchill when it comes to the whole Brexit
I
thing.
think
We got
you're too young.
sidetracked.
I think you're too young to bring up Winston Churchill, and besides, you're also too late. He's dead.
No, but do you guys have anybody that could fill those shoes?
The Queen.
What do you guys need to actually leave the EU and fucking stand on your own again?
You would have to dissolve Parliament to start.
The Queen. The
Well, I was
Queen
going
needs-
to say bomb Parliament, but
The Queen needs to take action and dissolve this parliament, get rid of Theresa May, and take control.
I don't think
in
that's
my
gonna
opinion.
work out, unfortunately, given from what I've
Probably
seen.
not.
Like the kingdom doesn't have any power anymore. It's the
Well,
parliament.
they actually do. They have to ask permission to.
The Queen can actually dissolve Parliament.
Well,
Yeah.
wait, you're saying they have to ask for permission, though?
Yeah, but if the Queen ever exercised that power, the next Parliament would take a vote and remove it from her.
No, Theresa May had to ask permission from the Queen to become the whatever the fuck she is. I can't remember.
Yeah, but Theresa May has to ask permission from her cabinet to go to the
Theresa
toilet.
May in a room with Katie Hopkins and let Katie Hopkins whoop her ass.
The Queen needs to dissolve the parliament. That's
That too.
Did you ever see the picture of Theresa May in a room with the Queen? The Queen just had an absolute look of disgust on her face. She was just looking at Theresa May like, "You're a bitch."
Yeah, she's pathetic.
I'll see if I can find that picture. Actually, it's funny.
She should have gone a long time ago. Because, I mean, she lost the Tory majority. She's lost confidence. She lost a vote of no confidence. And her bloody Brexit plan's been kicked out twice so far. The horrible thing is, if they had enough time and she put it through a third time, it would pass automatically.
How's that?
It's the way it works. White paper, if it goes through 3 times, it gets passed.
The fuck? Are you guys like Wiccan or some shit? The rule of 3? Like, that makes no fucking sense.
I didn't see it made sense.
What?
I guess that's another argument. It's kind of strange how they don't really develop the constitutional republic the same way America did. But that was a European philosophy when it started out, so what the hell? Why is that not utilized?
Yeah, I think. I mean, you protect freedom of speech under law in the United States. It's something we should have adopted a long time ago,
Exactly.
before the United States was even there, because it's always been part of British culture.
And see, that's what fucks me up about that.
Hold on, Bear Dog saying she'll take hot chicks over ugly neckbeards. What about hot neckbeards over ugly chicks?
But I already have a hot chick, so it's cool.
Ah, fair enough.
Oh, good.
I'm married.
You already got a bitch.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair enough.
She gets me. She gets me bitches too. It was nice. It was a nice present for Valentine's Day. I'm kind of drunk, so fuck y'all.
Okay, your place or mine?
We.
Wolf Shot's turning on the bat signal right now. Anyway,
I don't think it's possible to find people who might actually be worth the job versus Theresa May. I think it's going to be really difficult given this kind of era and the type of people it has bred.
The Queen needs to step in and do something. That's just that just has to happen.
Who is the Queen?
Well,
down the days until she's buried. I mean, come on.
Who cares?
Well,
She's the one who can do it, though.
Prince Diane.
Pardon?
Separate bill?
Well, the Queen was able to take care of Princess Diane.
No, she didn't.
Take care
That
of
was-
Theresa May.
That was just a senseless accident.
Yeah.
You really
I'm
believe
just
that?
thinking, I tagged you in something in Discord.
You really believe that?
Bear Dog, put it this way. The Alfayeds have a lot more enemies than the royal family or Princess Diana would ever have.
Honestly,
If anybody in that car was targeted, it was Dodi Al-Fayed.
honestly, I was just kidding. I honestly don't think the Queen gave a flying fuck about Diana. I know she
don't
didn't.
think she did.
I don't think she liked her very much, but in the end,
Yeah.
she respected her, I guess, in a way,
Gotta
in
admit,
her own
I
way.
did. I
I'm not
didn't
really
like
sure what to
Diana.
think
She was a
about
fake.
I would have fucked her.
Yeah, but that hooter.
She's hot, dude. She was hot. Hey,
Yeah, but that hooter, it was bigger than Barry Manilow's.
Hooter.
Yeah,
What?
nose,
Oh
schnozzle.
shit! I thought Hooters over here is tits,
Well, they are
and I
over
was
here.
like,
But
she don't got
a,
any Hooters.
yeah, but a hooter is a nose.
Ah, you learn something new every day, guys. Well, what about Winston Churchill though?
Yeah, he didn't have any tits.
No, he probably had tits bigger than mine. Nah.
Oh,
Winston Churchill
what I do like about
was not a
Peter
good
Chill?
peace. Winston Churchill was not a good peacetime leader, but he was an excellent war leader.
No, he was fucking drunk. Like, he woke up to a fucking glass of whiskey. Like, my motherfucker. I like this guy.
Sir, you are drunk. Yes, madam, but you are ugly. And in the morning, I shall be sober, but you shall still be ugly.
Exactly.
Is that a real quote? That's amazing.
yeah, he did actually say that.
Yeah, and I said it once at a party, and so the last I said it to got a boyfriend to beat me up. To which she commented, "Yeah, who's ugly now?" Guns, yeah, but I recovered from my wounds, but you'll still be ugly. To which her boyfriend just shrugged his shoulders and went and got a drink. It's funny.
Oh, that's it with her. Yeah, no.
Just once.
But no, I mean, it seems like the UK needs a real leader. I don't know if you guys have one. It's definitely not Boris, right? Like, he's not going to be the guy to step up.
It seems like this is the same effect of most of Europe ever since just all these years under a European Union is just completely cucking all the government power from other governments to force them to be that overarching one
It's
government.
not quite that they're cooked, it's more they're all in on it, in a sense.
Yeah, they're thinking about themselves. They no longer do the job of governance, which is what they're paid for.
Basically, it's more profitable.
I'll take that correction because it actually sounds a lot more accurate than what I'm going for. But yeah, either or. It's either it's because they're all into it, or the people who aren't are going to get cucked anyway because that's what they're breeding into for this new government system they want to take over.
Yeah, that's why a lot of us keep calling them traitors.
Yeah. And I was yelling at the Cameron when he first got in because first things, we have no money, and then a week later, 14 billion in foreign fucking aid.
Yeah.
If we have no money, where the 14 fucking billion come from?
Shit, that sounds familiar.
It's always sent to like the really corrupt countries, isn't it?
Well, like America.
I mean, that sounds really familiar. We don't have any money. We're going to shut the government down, but we've got money for this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, you know, we're still delivering food to the Congo, and Israel have some more fucking F-15.
How much do they get? Like, is it 4 billion a year?
Yeah, and what do we get back? Fucking Libby's Umbongo. Yeah, you've got to be an Englishman to get that one.
Yeah, dude, over my head. But no, you didn't answer my question. Do you guys have a leader to step up?
Doesn't sound like they do.
Not at the moment.
Yeah, people keep pointing to Jeremy Corbyn, but he's basically our answer. He's basically our answer to Bernie Sanders, only without the dignity, backbone, and style.
Well,
and he's got terrorist
I
friends.
think the Americans got, I think, a bit right is that if your leaders can't do shit, then the people themselves are going to have to learn how to do it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Either the government actually does things that people want, or the people are going to have to learn, you know what, fuck you, we're going to do it ourselves. We can't trust you to do your job properly. But then that means that the people has to have a backbone, and right now it seems like Europe isn't having its own backbone at the moment.
It's because I think it's partially because there has been a political class has emerged.
What was that?
I think it's because a political class has emerged.
It's because y'all don't have guns.
Oh, we've got guns.
Where?
We're allowed shotguns and hunting rifles.
Like, but how arduous is it to get it? Man, that's a big word. Arduous. How arduous? No, but seriously, how arduous is it to get a license to have those firearms?
It's not that difficult, but you have to have a very secure cabinet to keep them in, like bolted to the wall type secure.
Yeah, I think for the shotgun one, for the shotgun license, which is probably the most basic one, I think you have to get recommended by a gun club, and basically have a police interview, and basically if they can't prove that you're a psychopath or a convicted criminal or whatever, then and you actually have the appropriate storage for a shotgun,
And a
then
valid
you
reason
get
to
one.
use it.
Yeah, like
Like
Wait, appropriate storage for a shotgun. Where I come from, that's behind the front door.
Above the door, actually.
Yeah, fair enough, Wolfshot. Fair enough.
Well, mind you, that's obviously going to be the legal firearms. Because obviously, if you know the right people, you could probably get a 9mm without.
Are you saying if you're Irish or Muslim? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, there's that too.
Yeah, there's definitely that too. I'm going to be buggering off in a few minutes because the Ren stream's going to start.
Well, no, we're gonna wrap up here in a few minutes anyway. Yeah, no, I don't know what's going on over there, guys. I just the hard Brexit, the deadline is gonna hit here in a week and a half. So the world will see, I guess.
I hope we end up with a no-deal Brexit.
Same, although it seems like Theresa. Well, it seems like most of the MPs are trying to see if they can, fuck it up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, on that note, it sounds like we're winding down anyway. Thank you everybody for showing up. We'll be back tomorrow at 3:00 on the West Coast.
So
on the East, and who the fuck knows in the UK anyway.
Not taking shit so fucking seriously.
Mad, I've got to ask you, the last check you promised us there hasn't turned up. Will I be getting double this week?
Oh, wait, for the Russian bots? Oh, no, shut up. Anyway, moving on. See, even my dog told you to shut up.
No, he's telling you to shut up.
Anyway,
actually, I think we can't say the 14 words.
Out of Yellow Vest, we are out of here. Thank you, everybody, for showing up, and check out their channels. Cass, you do something on YouTube, right?
Yeah, the Fox Den and other things like that.
Absolutely, go check him out. Nationalist Yorkshireman. Do you do anything on YouTube? What's going on?
Yeah, occasionally I make videos. At the moment, I'm just having some issue with the software I've got. But whenever I get it to, it's mainly the software to download videos to respond to. It's just not working, so I need to get a new one. When I've got a new one, I'll start making again.
Give you to a few sources that help you out with that, actually, if you're interested.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, and Wolfshot, whenever she's fucking bored or on her pain medications, she does Fangs of Flesh over on her channel. Right, Wolfshot?
Yeah, it's a shit show. I highly recommend it. Not really. Have a good night, y'all.
Yeah. And, go subscribe to Batman because everybody loves our Cape Crusader. We're out of here. Peace.